What is up, Sixers Nation? We got a good session today here for you. We're going to talk about the Sixers and the Eagles here for the next 30 minutes or so. Got two games today. Eagles are playing at 3 o'clock, so just about an hour here, and the Sixers tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern time. So we'll talk about both. We'll start with the Eagles and get into the Sixers here. Eagles are favored by 7 today against the Rams. Again, next game in just an hour here. Over set at 43. This is a game that started at 7.5 all the way to 7. I think a little bit of that has to do with the fact that there's the snow falling down right now in Philadelphia. Expected to get 3 to 5 inches of snow. Right now it's not like sticking as much just because it's a little bit warmer, but as the day goes on, it's going to get a little cooler. So start sticking, very soon here. And that will certainly affect the game in the Eagles' favor, considering that LA normally plays indoors in an arena. The Eagles play outdoors and use the cold there, and definitely suits their run game a lot better since the Eagles are known for their run here. But appreciate everyone hopping here. We're talking Eagles for a little bit. X Factor. We're talking to Jared Verse, who had some words and comments to say about Birds fans, which includes ourselves. I know not everyone here who are Sixers fan follows their channel are Eagles fans as well, but just myself, we're Eagles fans. Got my Eagles sweater on right now. Shout out to my girlfriend for this new one right here. Just got this for early birthday present there. And then we'll go into some questions. We'll talk about score predictions, all of that too, on this game here. And then we'll finish it up by talking Sixers, which leave it on a little bit more of a negative note than the Eagles. Hoping for the best here today at 3 o'clock with the Eagles here. So as always too, drop comments in the chat. We are again giving away $25 to a random sub for every 100 subscribers. Just hit 300 last week, so we had that, gave that away. Jack was our winner there. Hit that like and subscribe button below, and we do also have a private chat on Instagram for subs only. So message us if you want to be added to that, because we have almost 200 people in that. That's a super fun time where we give updates, hang out, talk Sixers. Not the most positive right now, but that kind of stuff happens when your team's struggling like the Sixers are here. But let's get into the game here. Again, Eagles favored by 7. Expected snow 3 to 5 inches here. We got a fun video that I'll show you in just a moment of Jordan Mailata taking the snow not too seriously. But first, we'll hit on some inactives. No one too big. These are all guys that don't normally get time. Tanner McKee, again, third QB. You got the kind of emergency third QB there. Eli Ricks, who is more of a special teams guy. Lewis Sign, Nick Gates. I mean, these are guys that are backups here. So no one of notice here, which is a good sign. This is from Adam Schefter here for the game. I know at this time of the season, there's a lot of lingering issues and injuries that do occur. But looks like A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith and Jalen Hurts and the rest of the offense and defense are looking, healthy for this game, which is really big here. And we'll certainly, update you guys if anything comes up from Adam Schefter here. But Jordan Mailata's having some fun early in this snow. Again, it's not sticking yet, but it was kind of hailish a little bit since it's a lot colder up in the atmosphere. So yeah, Jordan Mailata barefoot in the snow. Eagles are built for this. The Eagles have the best rushing attack in the NFC. The Rams give up 130 rushing yards a game. So they're, I think, regular season they were 23rd in the league. So they were in the bottom half of the league, stopping the run. Gave up 4.6 yards per carry to running backs. Only 17s gave up more per carry. And if you guys don't remember, Eagles did play the Rams earlier in the season. It was kind of an ass whooping there, and Saquon Barkley almost had 300 scrimmage yards, 200 yards rushing, and almost 100 yards receiving there in that game. But yeah, you got Jordan Mailata here warming up. Eagles, again, they're built for this. They're used to this acclimate weather. So certainly something that could potentially, prove in their favor if this, snow starts sticking here. So, let's move on to some X factors here for the Eagles. We did similar live last week for the Eagles and
Packers.
The Eagles and Packers game last week for the wild card round, and Sixers also played last week too. On Sunday, lost that game against the Magic, and I picked Jalen Hurts for that, because at the time, with his concussion and everything like that, how he would be affected in the running game here. But with the snow, I'm going to go back to like game by game basis here. My X factor is going to be the offensive line. They may be cheating a little bit because I'm picking a whole entire group. Guys.
I like it.
But they are a unit, right? I'm not just going to point out and say, oh, Lane Johnson's the whole entire offensive line, because not every single one of the guys on the offensive line has their role. They've all done an exceptional job, and that's led to them, getting Saquon Barkley rushed for over 2,000 yards. One of the only few players in the league ever to do that. And they're going to rely heavily on that today with the weather especially, and Jalen Hurts, not playing his best ball right now. I'm not expecting him to have 200 yards passing or anything like that. Even though I would like them to get A.J. Brown involved early. He only had one reception last game. I know there was all the controversy of him reading the book on the sidelines. Not that
one book read as well. One reception, one book read.
Yes, exactly. He read it. It probably read more pages than catches. Shout out inner excellence there. But there's a lot of talk about that, even though he's been doing that this whole entire season. I'd like to see them get him involved early, but overall, it's going to be a run heavy. I would be surprised if Saquon Barkley does not get 25 attempts.
Oh yeah, at least
in this game.
At least
that's what I want to see. They've struggled in the past last week against the Packers, who do have a good defense, and the Rams certainly don't have as a secondary as the Packers do. But with this kind of weather, I think it's very important that you don't turn the ball over, because that's really the only way I see the Eagles losing this game is if they lose the turnover battle. If they give up 2 or 3 turnovers in this game, that could certainly get them in trouble. So I'm going to cheat a little bit, say the Eagles offensive line is my X factor here. What do you got for that?
I mean, building off yours, I don't want to say I'm cheating as well, but I'm going to go Saquon Barkley. I mean, it's obvious. It's a hard one not to pick just because of the weather conditions, and he's going to be dominant tonight. You mentioned the last time we played the Rams, he had close to 300 yards, or what was it, like $150, something like that. He had a lot of yards. So he's going to do the same thing today. He's going to dominate. I expect him to have a massive game. It's going to be a run-first offense today, which we typically are in general, but considering the weather. Also, I think there's extra motivation for the Eagles. The playoffs now run through Philadelphia. With the Lions losing, we are technically the best team left in the playoffs, seating-wise. So it runs through Philly. There's extra motivation there. If they win, of course, we know the implication. They will play the Commanders in the NFC Championship game at home. Yeah. So it's a divisional opponent, and you're home for the chance to go to the Super Bowl. Yeah. There's a ton of juice here. We're a better team than the Rams, top to bottom. We just are at almost every single position. I think receiver, they're close there as well. But outside of that, I mean, we're better in pretty much every single position. I really believe that. And Saquon Barkley is going to be the difference today. He might have 200-plus yards. I would not be shocked.
Yeah. And it's going to come down to how the offensive line can take care of the Rams' defensive line. They're good. They had 40-plus sacks regular season. They're a young defensive line, guys like Byron Young and Jared Verse and Fiskey's too. Some of these younger guys that they drafted have gotten to the quarterback. They feasted up on Sam Darnold last week on Monday Night Football. I gave about 8 or 9 sacks in that game. So they have a really good defensive line.
And they're trending upwards, the Rams. This is one of the teams that they've been hot as of late. It's where the Eagles are.
They started off the season pretty much out of playoff contention and went on a hot streak and came out of
so that scares you a little bit.
The NFC West. Yeah. So certainly that could turn to somebody that won the NFC West, which was kind of a turmoil division this year. But speaking of the defensive line for the Rams, probably saw this, Jared Verse, who is one of those rookies, could very well win Defensive Rookie of the Year, has an amazing season for the LA Rams. Had some comments on Birds fans, considering they got a little bit, Birds fans have a little reputation. We're certainly included in that one too. But this one here from ESPN Bet, quote, from Gary Klein. I hate Eagles fans. They're so annoying. I hate Eagles fans. When I see that green and white, I hate it. I actually get upset. I actually genuinely get hot.
Love it, man. I love it. Love it.
He's not the first person to hate on Eagles fans or Philadelphia fans in general. That's why you have the song, we're from Philly, effing Philly. No one likes us. We don't care. Because Philly definitely has a reputation having some rowdy fans, passionate fans, I would say more like being from the area, maybe a little biased. But Jared Verse kind of getting involved in the conversation there, and certainly not something that you want to do, right? Because times like playoffs, all that kind of stuff, you don't want to light up, you don't want to give an advantage and light the fire on anyone, right? Yeah. Same thing, don't shit talk Pat Mahomes, because Pat Mahomes, he's accomplished so much. It's you don't want to give them any more edge, right? Have more motivation in the game. We can kind of take that and play a little better for that.
Yeah.
And I think given that, it's like honestly kind of a good thing because that's going to fire up some of the Eagles players, offensive line, all of that. Who again, like the Rams have a good defensive line, but they're a little small. Like they're quick, but Eagles they're a lot bigger offensive line. And they're just a really good unit.
Biggest in the league, right?
Yeah,
the league,
yeah.
Eagles
I mean,
line.
yeah. I mean, Mekhi Becton used to be a tackle. He's a
He's
guard.
like 6'6", yeah.
And Lane Johnson, my ladder, huge guys. And then you got Dickerson and Jurgens, certainly big fellas too. So
it's a rookie move, though. I mean, it literally is. It's a rookie move by Jared Verse to even say that, and especially coming into Philly, which is already a hostile environment. Just talking about the fans. I mean, I've been to games and we know the area very, very well. And yeah, like Mitch said, fans we like to put it as passion, and they actually give a shit about their team, and they die with their team, they bleed with their team, and that's how they feel. And we understand that. But yeah, to get extra motivation, man, for a playoff game and coming into Philly, good fucking luck. I mean, we're going to show you a video here in a second. The chirping's already starting. It's already starting, which is game isn't underway.
This is from Mike Garofalo. Quote, give him credit, Jared Verse did a lap and said hello to his not so adoring Eagles fans here.
Yeah.
We can turn up the volume here so you can he's like about a little bit there.
And I'll take that 77 for next round. I'll put that in my pocket.
Pretty sure the 77 is referring to his bonus if he wins game on the playoffs.
Worst Rams fans there, very few.
Sorry, I did not mean to stop sharing that early there. Yeah, so there are some Rams fans in the tunnel, which makes sense. It's not a lot of fans in there right now. Not this weather.
We don't like you either. Go back to LA, baby.
We don't want you to go.
Yeah, it's one fan.
I love it. I love it.
I will say the one thing about the NFL, this is just how like with the games and everything like that, and just how far away fans are. It's not like a basketball game where like, hey, if like you're like, hey, Jalen Brunson, let's just say for example, says something like that. Okay, every time Jalen Brunson has the ball, you can boo him. It's very easy. Versus like, okay, what are you going to do? You're going to boo Jared Verse when the Eagles have the ball, right? He's on defense. So what are you going to boo the Eagles when they're on offense and Jared Verse is on the field? And then like even when he's on the sidelines, like fans are just not that close to what's happening.
Right.
Like it's not like the NBA where you got people courtside and people right there for all the action. And some of these other sports even too, like baseball. Okay, someone's up to bat. If Aaron Judge is talking shit on Philadelphia and he's up to bat, okay, you could boo him. Hockey would be tough too, just because you pass the ball around a lot. But like certainly introductions and stuff like that, they could do it. Yeah. But they're not going to be like introducing Jared Verse like to the fans, right? All the Rams fans or all the Rams players run out at one time. They certainly introduce some of the Eagles players, but they're home.
It's more just motivation and juice.
It's more motivation and juice. Like you're not going to see a lot of booing directly at him, except stuff like that where he's running around, the field beforehand or after the game too. Like if he's running around after the game, which I assume he'd only do if the Rams win, there'll certainly be fans like chirping at him. But you're right. I think it's more motivation like for the players than it really is the fans, because the fans really can't get involved because you're not going to be booing when he's on the field, because that would also mean you're doing the offense for the Eagles. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit there, and that certainly will not be the last time a opponent talks crap on Eagles fans and Philly fans in general. So, but let's talk about some score predictions, and then we can move on to the Sixers here. Again, Eagles are favored by 7, over-under is 43, which is pretty low, considering like yesterday's game was like high 50s, the Commanders and Lions game. Yeah. Which makes sense. It's again expected to snow here for this game. So those games usually tend to be a little sloppier and low scoring. So like even saying like something like 20-17, like that's kind of like falling right on the under. I think it'll be a little more high scoring than that, just because these teams are both ready for it. Got a lot of veterans on both sides here. And even though, Matt Stafford in the offense may not be as ready for these cold weather, Matt Stafford's been in the league for a very long time and has had plenty of games in cold weather here. So I think it's going to be 23 23-21
Wow, you got it
in
close.
this game. Yeah, I was gonna say 23-20, but then I'm like basically falling right on the over under 43. So 23-21 in this game. I think it's gonna come down to a last drive where the Rams got the ball and all they need is a field goal and the Eagles clamp up. With that, that's another thing too. Field goals gonna be hard to come by too. It starts snowing. Jake Elliott's already had a tough season.
Especially with Jake Elliott out there.
Jake's already had a tough season for both kickers too. Like the Rams have a rookie kicker actually, so it's gonna be hard to kick no matter what. I wouldn't be surprised if you see some like 2-point conversions happening, and just going for it on 2 without even like first touchdown, go for 2 right away. There's already like snow on the field, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I got 23-21 Eagles winning this game.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I have it a little differently. I just think we're a better team than the Rams, just top to bottom. And on top of that, I really believe the snow and just being outside and the conditions will be a significant factor, especially if we really get 3 to 5 inches. That is going to play a major role, and that will really shift, I think, a lot of the scores that people are predicting, whether it's us or on ESPN and everything that you're looking at before the game. And I have us 28-13. I think we win significantly. I think we take care of business. Saquon dominates this game. The defense steps up. It's going to be hard to throw the ball out there. I mean, their main 2 weapons, Puka and Kupp, they're going to be tough to shut down, but still with the weather, that's going to play a massive factor. And even if it was a beautiful sunny day, I still think that we handle business regardless just because of the sheer talent. But we'll see. It should be fun. It's playoff football. You never know. There's a lot of juice here. And also, we're fucking home. Let's go.
Yeah, no, crowd will definitely be involved in this game. Home field advantage.
Yeah.
Will certainly come into account here, especially if the snow starts sticking a little bit.
Yep.
Here. But let's switch gears over to the Sixers, who are not 7-point favorites. They're 12.5-point underdogs against the Bucks today at 7. So unlike last week where there was a little bit of overlap, like the Sixers played at 6 and the Eagles played at like 4:30. These 2 games, if you want to watch both games, you will have the chance to do that. The Eagles play here in just about 45 minutes, and the Sixers don't play until 7. So you will have a chance if you want to. Not that I may not advise it. Watch both games here. We can take a look at kind of the upcoming schedule and some of their last few games here, which are a little bit ugly. Again, they lost last night to Indiana Pacers, so they're on the second half of a back-to-back. Lost 115-102. Even though that score looks not as close as it was for a lot of the game, Pacers pulled away in the fourth quarter. Sixers, were close for the most part. Maxey had 28 points. Ricky Council led the team. Rebounds, again, no Yabusele in this game, no Embiid. As we talked about in our last video, if you haven't seen it, go check that one out. Embiid's out 7 to 10 days here. That's when he'll get reevaluated, so it could be more than that. So he's going to miss at least the next few games here. So now Yabusele in this game. Drummond did return in this game, but he looked really, really sloppy. Bona played, but did get hurt in this game, and we'll talk about that too. But that was certainly something as well. And then Jeff Dowtin led the team in assists. If you have Jeff Dowtin leading the team in assists, you're probably not winning the game, which they did not. And they fall to 15-25, 10 games below 500 here. That makes their 5th straight loss. Again, tough road ahead. They have Milwaukee tonight at 7, and then they're at Denver on Tuesday at 10 p.m. That one's all over national television, TNT, True TV, Max. So Sixers will certainly get exposed a little bit there if they haven't already this entire season. They return home against Cleveland, and then at Chicago, which is probably their only easy-ish game over these next 10 to 15.
And we say easy.
Yeah, nothing's easy right now for the Sixers, even the gimmies. They may not even be favored at the Chicago game because they're on the road, first of all, and Embiid will probably not be playing in that game. Right. Who knows who else? Like Paul George. He also missed the Indiana Pacers game too. It's looking like they're kind of teetering around. Like, do they want to tank? Do they not want to tank? They're getting close to the February 6th, trade deadline here too. So these next week and a half, 2 weeks, like is going to be very indicative in terms of what they want to do there. Is looking more and more likely like they're going to be sellers than buyers. Not that they're going to sell a whole lot. Like maybe they dish Drummond or Yabusele or KJ Martin or one of these guys who may not be part of their future. But really tough schedule here. You got LA, Sacramento, Denver, Boston, Dallas, Miami. These are all playoff teams here. February 6th is the trade deadline. So that falls right in between. So the next, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, about 10 games before the trade deadline here. And all these teams are basically
tough matchups, contention. Man. A lot of prime time too.
Yeah, a few games on ESPN, TNT. So you'd hope that maybe Sixers will put out some of their better players in those games, just because they're kind of forced to a lot of times, and with the kind of peer pressure a little bit with these games being on prime time. But we'll see there. for that matchup. The upcoming schedule is certainly not looking as good as it was. So,
yeah, it's gonna be tough. I mean, no Embiid. We're not sure about Paul George. You know, he was out last night. Is he day to day? Is he out for a few days? I mean, that's the classic Sixers medical staff. We'll never really know. It seems like everyone besides Joel, which they give their weekly 10-day update. Hey, he's out for the next week, and then we'll find out next week that he's out another week. Who knows? It's kind of how it goes with Joel. But yeah, I mean, the team is just simply banged up. They're injury prone. They're old, and that's kind of what we're seeing it play out in real time. And unfortunately, the guys that are here have not stepped up enough to produce some wins. You know, we've been semi-competitive, but we're going to show up next to Den Bona, who unfortunately got injured in last night's game. Was it a knee injury? I think that's what we're looking at.
Yeah, no, he was having a great first half. Had 11 points in the first half, 5-5 from the field. Looked very energetic. Had a really good dunk in the first half there too. Certainly a change of pace guy from Andre Drummond, who has looked like he is playing in years. Look at this replay here from Aaron. Yeah, so he gets going for the rebound there. Gets Miles Turner falls right on his knee. It looks like.
Tied up, I believe, and now Bona in pain. You got to be kidding me. This guy has a career first half.
Even Kate's like, we're fucked.
Yeah. You can ill afford to lose any bodies, let alone.
I mean, the good news is he was able to get up and walk somewhat. A little bit of a limp there, but to be able to get up on your own powers.
Turner just kind of
see Miles Turner falling back. Doesn't look intentional or anything like that.
Yeah.
Bona kind of loses his footing. Trips will kind of probably get tangled up in Miles Turner a little bit, and then Turner just falls back on him there.
That might be a bone bruise. Hopefully, it's nothing more than that. But that still could be a few games. And once again, I mean, I hate to say it, but he's our third string center, but at the same time, he's playing significant minutes, and he might honestly, the way Drummond's played recently, he's borderline starter center.
Yeah.
You know, and Yabu's not really a true center. They'll put him out once he's back in the lineup as the starter. But we are very, very thin, and we need guys that can play and grab some rebounds and just play some interior defense. And unfortunately, if you lose a guy like a Den Bona, I didn't think I'd be saying this in January of this year that hey, a Den Bona will play a significant role, but here we are.
Yeah, no, and Yabusele was out last night too. I think it was a little bit of a rest he did, but he also did get hurt, not in last night's game, but the game before that, where he also ran. It was a knee problem. He ran his knee right into the opposing team player. I forget who it was on the opposing team, but Yabusele banged up a little bit too. I think he'll play today just because again, knowing Den Bona, he's kind of gonna have to. I think they kind of gave him a little bit of a scheduled rest. Plus, he was just kind of coming back off injury, and you got it back to back here. So hopefully he can play today because it looked like Den Bona will not be playing today. You're already off Joel Embiid. Drummond's looking rough out there. Looks like he can't play more than 10, 15 quality minutes. I'll put in quotation marks, considering his age. And it's, again, also a back-to-back, right? So no matter what, even if Drummond was fully healthy, he would not be looking the best in a back-to-back. And he's already coming off injury. He's old. Doesn't recover as well as some of these other things. So, just nothing down.
The grind has not stopped for this team. It's unfortunate. The back-to-backs, the tough schedule, everything's kind of hitting at once, and it's not the right time to get injured. It never is. But this is we look at the schedule and the standings here, and where we sit currently. What are we at the 11th seed? And we're 15-25, 10 games below 500, which is just disgusting to even look at. I mean, it's just tough to comprehend. And the more you lose games, as we all know, the further you fall out of playoff contention. And luckily, yes, we are only one seed out of the play-in, which is honestly a miracle. We're only 2 games back. It feels like we're last in the conference. The way we've been playing basketball, if you've watched the Sixers game in the past, I don't know, at all this season, it feels like we're last. But we are 2 games out of a play-in. So that's kind of the dilemma here is, do you still pursue it? Do you try to make the play-in? I don't think they're going to totally blow up their entire team. That's not how they operate. Mitch is right. They might maybe move on from Yabu or something like that if they do want to become sellers. But really, there's not that many quality tradable assets. Like, you're not going to get a big haul in return or a bunch of picks or whatever. So you're pretty much just stuck with the team for the most part. The core guys are not going anywhere. Anyone that's trade Paul or trade Embiid, it's not happening. It's very, very unlikely. I'd be absolutely stunned if they move on from any of those guys. So it's not going to happen. But we're 10 games below 500. How many games out are we from the 6th seed here?
6.5.
6.5.
6.5 games, which again was looking, it was 3.5 for most of the season. But now since they're 2 last 10, lost 5, 8, now currently 6.5 games out of the 6th place seed, really where you would be because you would avoid Boston and Cleveland. come playoff time, and you also just don't want to have to deal with the whole entire play-in and making the playoffs, for that.
And the worst part is, I mean, the East is really not that. I mean, 22-19 is the 6th seed. I mean, 3 games above 500. It's not crazy. I mean, the Sixers go back to last season. I don't know what our record was at this many
West
games
is
in.
much different, 22-17. I mean,
Yeah.
2 less losses.
Yeah, but I mean, man, 3 games above 500.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of
not much to ask for.
the Sixers would be slotted as like the 13th seed, though. Yeah, because the Spurs and the Suns both have a better record than the Sixers. So if they were in the West, they would be right in between the Spurs and the Blazers.
Right. I mean, look at all these teams pretty much as 500. Yeah. I mean,
so this already is definitely
close.
tougher. Like, and in terms of playing too, like, beating the Mavericks or Timberwolves or Kings, Warriors, like any of these teams would be tough to beat in the play-in versus like, even with as bad as the Sixers have been, like these teams are all very beatable. The Bulls, Heat, Pistons.
Right.
Magic.
The difference between East and West is there's West. There might be a tier quality. Like the East, honestly, the Celtics are the best team in the NBA. I still believe that, even though the record doesn't show it. The Cavs are up there. The Thunder are also, of course, right there. The Rockets, they're good. I still think come playoff time, they have a young core. They've proven. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, just the East is not as deep. But the Sixers could still make a run, which is the scariest part about it. They could, but will they ever get healthy? They haven't shown any signs besides the Christmas game. They haven't.
Yeah, and you're back to what you were saying earlier about like why they haven't fallen down is because all these teams down here, they're losing,
stink.
Right? Wizards 1-9 in the last 10, 3-7, 3-7, 2-8, and Sixers 2-8. Like all these teams are tanking. They're trying to go for that top pick.
Yeah.
As we talked about in our last video too, like since they have that top 6 protected pick, like it's hard to get that. The only way you get a guarantee is you have to be one of the bottom 2 teams in the league, which means you cannot win many more games.
And they won't be a bottom 2. They won't be a bottom 2.
Yeah,
so there's no point.
They more likely want to be a bottom 2. And if you get even like if you're like the 6th worst team, you could very well, because the lottery finish with like the 7th or 8th pick, which goes right to the Thunder. So it's like right now they're kind of in between both. Like they're on the outside looking into the play-in, the playoffs, and they're kind of on the outside looking in terms of keeping the pick too, because they are not situated themselves as a top 5 pick right now.
Yeah, no, my core tells me they're not going to tank. That's just not how they operate. When you have Joel Embiid on the roster, they're just. I know he hasn't played much, but they're still. I would be absolutely shocked if they start shutting everyone down. It might be the right way to go, but I don't think Morey's going to do that. So we'll see. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a tough time of the year. We're out of it. It's over.
You might be right, man. You might be right.
Yeah, no, it's a little bit past the midway point of January. So a lot of games to be had, but it's certainly not looking good for the Sixers either way. They'll probably get, if they try to tank, they'll probably get screwed out of that top 6 pick, and they'll go right to the Thunder. If they go for winning it, they'll probably either even not even make it the play-in, or if they get in the first round, kind of a one and done there, because as bad as the team looked last year, this team looks even worse by far, because they haven't been in the situations in the process. This team does not look like, I mean, again, like look at their scoring too. They're averaging 107 points per game. Their defense isn't bad. 111 is not is respectable. They're only scoring 107 points per game. I mean, you look at some of these other offenses, 117, 110, 112. Only the Magic, but the Magic have a really good defense, 104.
I mean, the Wizards score more points. They're in last. They're 108.
Yeah, but all these teams in the top are all like 113, 115 plus. They just can't score well. And their defense is fine, but it's nothing like stellar like the Magic where you kind of make up for that. Again, they have a negative 3.9 differential here, net differential, which is certainly why you're looking at the Sixers being 10 games below 500. They're just not good enough on either end to win a lot of these games. And I know I said they have a lot of games left, but they've also played a lot of games. This is a pretty large sample size.
About halfway.
Yeah, it's a pretty large sample size. They're almost at halfway here, 40 games at 82. So they will be at the halfway point after today's game, and they only have 1 or 2, quality wins this entire season. That makes you think, oh, okay, maybe they can win a game in the playoffs, let alone a series. So it's tough treading for the Sixers. We're hoping for the best here. We'll maybe go live this week. I know they play Tuesday at Denver. Maybe that's a game that we go live for, even though they're going to be shorthanded there. You already know Embiid's out at least for the next few games here, and then who knows if Paul George wants to show up or anything like that, or any of these other players. Caleb Martin's been out for a while. KJ Martin's been out for a while. These guys have had lingering issues that seem to have lasted a little longer than what was expected there. But appreciate all of you hopping in here. As always, we're giving away $25 to a random subscriber. So if you haven't subbed, hit that subscriber button below. we'll be giving away for every 100. We're almost at 400 here. So that potentially hit that this week and do another giveaway there. And join our private chat too if you're one of our subscribers. Let us know if you want to be invited into that. But thank you for watching. Go Sixers, and we can add Birds to that one too. They're getting ready to start here in about 30 minutes or so. You'll kick off. So for the best for the Birds. Hopefully go at least 1 or 2 today between the Eagles and the Sixers. Hope everyone has a good Sunday. Stay safe out there. Stay warm inside. Hopefully not too much snow, just enough to impact the game a little bit, but not too much.
Go Saquon, come on.
To get a little crazy here, but go Birds, baby.
Go Birds.
Cheers.
Peace.